a really good, helpful call for you for today. So let me move on my screen. We have a success team and a support team. So we all work together. It's a very small group of us, but we are two separate teams. And our success team is the migration managers that you've been working with. And we are here. I put myself in both categories. So we are here to just help make your Firefly experience as much of a success as possible. That means you need individual trainings, one-on-one trainings, longer calls of like, hey, how do I help my team with this? Or I keep running into this issue, but it doesn't seem like it's something broken. It's just confusing. That's like where we want to hop on the call with you. Let's do some more training for you and your team. Let's talk individually. To people who are just joining, welcome. Thanks for being here. And then our support team, like I think most of you have talked with them. That's much more of the reactive, like, hey, I need help. Like this isn't going right. This is just like a short term or like an immediate need. That's our support team, and so they're awesome. They have like they're an awesome team. They know so much about Firefly. I go to them all the time as I learn more and more about Firefly, like, hey, how do I do this? Or where do I go for that? And so they'll be able to really just help you with all those like one-off questions. And I'm going to show in just a second how to actually reach them. So in your portal, you have this support request button here. And you just click on it. You'll be able to find it from anywhere, no matter what page you're on in your Firefly portal or in your Firefly app. Doesn't matter if you're looking at emails, if you're looking at units, unit classes, you can click on support requests. And this is going to show up here. It'll show you the email that you'll get a response to. Sometimes people don't know where the response is going to go. And then you can type in your question here. And if you don't know how to phrase your question, that's okay. Just give us as much context as possible to start with. And then if you want a phone call or you're like, I'd really love to verbally process this with someone, put that in here. Our team will give you a call, put your phone number. We'll make that happen. As much information as our team gets at the start of a ticket request, the better we can help you troubleshooting, figuring out what's going on. So, but we do phone support. It's just through this button here. And then you can also email support@fireflyreservations.com. And then we also have this knowledge base article here that I've created, and I'm continuing to work with our support and update. So as our Astra customers come over, a lot of Astra customers have the same question. So we're just going to continue to update this. If there's, we notice more than one person's asking the same question, we'll update this here. And I'll send this out after the call today, but you can also find it on our knowledge base, which the same thing, way to access it, click on that support request, and then we have a link to our knowledge base right here. So that is my little spiel for today. Adrian's going to take over with learning the language of Firefly in the day-to-day operation. So Adrian, thanks so much, and take it away.
Okay, no problem. And sorry, I had to close the door from the barking dog.
It's all good. My dog was freaking out my entire last call, and I could not ever figure out why. I just had to like keep muting. So, all right, thanks so much, Adrian.
No problem. And you can see my screen okay?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. All right, so I'll start with the language of Firefly. It's a pretty good place to start. So of course we have the reservation grid, which is the same as our grid, and then our new reservation, a link here as well. You'll notice that there's no map start off point on Firefly. So if you do go to new reservation, this is where you can get your map. So I have all the settings turned on, so you might not have quite as many as I do. But once you hit search availability on new reservation, that's where you're able to see the map. Mine is a test park, and I didn't build a map, so that's why you can't see it on mine. But anyone who had a map in Astra, it would have come over, so you would see it here. While we're in here, I guess we'll just go down the list here. So the dashboard will be the same as your transaction dashboard in Astra. And of course, in Astra, you had all the different tabs. So you had the customers tab, you had the payments tab, the sold tab, and so on and so forth. Instead of having individual tabs, it's all down here on the bottom. So you'll see like your arrivals, your departures, any upcoming recurring charges, any recent payments, and then your overdue charges. Please don't judge my park. It's really bad right now. But you can also click on any of the entries here to go to the people's accounts. And we'll come back to this and explore it a little more in a bit. Search reservations is the same as the find button in Astra on your dashboard. You can search by guest name. And I know a lot of people on the customers tab in Astra like to search by site number. So what you can do is you can either do search reservations or the magnifying glass. And if you come over here, you can actually enter the site number to search by site number. So like if I do 77, here's my reservations on site 77. So that's kind of a way around that one, which I found is very helpful. We have the group holds here as well. So group holds are a little bit different in Firefly than they were in Astra. When you do a group hold, what this is basically doing is it's setting aside a chunk of sites that the group is allowed to book. They can actually book it through the portal though, which is amazing. So like if we made our group here, they'll all get Good Sam. You can have them have a special discount if you give your rallies or something a discount. Okay, so if we do set it up this way, oh, I got to make another one, group 2. I wasn't very creative last time I made a group. I guess every code has to be unique. So if we look here, this is where it'll allow you to select the sites that can be part of the group. So let's say they're going to stay anytime through here. We'll have an RV site, and you can just checkbox all the ones that you want to make available for that specific group. And you can see they're here. So when somebody goes online to book, they can actually just enter the group code and they'll only be able to choose from these sites, but it'll be under their name and under their own credit card. So you don't have to have one person paying for everything. So that's what the group hold will do in Firefly. Reservation portal, I think a lot of people are getting confused between the reservation portal and the guest portal. So the reservation portal, this is where people go to make their reservations online. This is what would have been Book Your Site. So that's what this one is. The guest portal, which is here under property, the guest portal is what would have been Pay Your Site if you did allow guests to pay for their reservations online after they've made them. So that would be what those two are comparable to. Under guests, sorry, your bulk email is instead under guests and email guests. So this is where you'll be able to choose a date range for the guests that are in the park. You can select all or unselect people who you don't want the email going to, just in case. You can preload it from a template if you have a template set up, or you can customize an email down here. Now, if you use the emails in Astra, you'll know that you could right-click and insert a tag, which would auto-populate with the guest's information. But in this case, we have the placeholders here, which is the same thing. So if you want it to be like, hi, so-and-so, you could do guest first name, and now it looks personalized. Point of sale, we have our POS register. So I know one thing that a lot of people loved were the palettes in Astra, and we've added a favorites toolbar now in Firefly. So the favorites toolbar is where you'll find basically what your palettes were. Now, if you've migrated, you do have to set those up again. They don't come over in the migration. So if you'd like to add things to your favorites, when you go to the POS items list, you can click on the item that you want on the favorites bar, and down here at the bottom, you'll see there's add to POS register favorites. So if I save that, and then I'm just going to click on register up here because I like the little icon. Then you can see, okay, here's my marshmallows. If you have a big store, you have lots of POS items, anything that's categorized, when you click on the magnifying glass, it kind of breaks it into palettes based on your categories. So you can also click on the category and see, oh, I chose a bad one. Let's do candy and snacks. I'm sure I have something in there. When you click on the category, you can see all the items in that category. So that's similar to the palettes as well, but this auto-populates based on the category setup that you have. Let me just ring something up. I'll do Earl Grey tea. Over here on the right, if you add a payment, that's just like when you do the walk-up POS in Astra and somebody just comes and gives you money, you're like, thanks, bye, have a great day. If you want to charge it to a customer's account, or if you did that in Astra, it's here under other options. And this is where you'll choose charge to reservation, which pulls up a list of everybody in the park. You can search by guest name or unit number, and you can charge it to their account, or you can do other options and charge guests with no reservation. Now, one thing that people I don't think realize is when you do charge to reservation, let me go ahead and I'll add it to Jean-Luc Picard. If we hit select, that'll add it to his account, and you can actually click on the site name and number here to go to the account and then pay it off if you wish. So you don't have to go search for them. The link is right there. It's just people keep missing that. So it makes it much faster to get to their account if you want to go that way. Accounting, I won't go too much into because we all know I can talk about this all day. But the end of day procedure is based on the Astra end of day. So if you were doing it in Astra, you had the payment reconciliation and then the transactions. It's the same thing. So you have your payments tab. There's just no deposit slip for reconciliation. So you can see there is the cash breakdown, the credit card breakdown. You can type in the amount of cash, but you don't have to fill out each denomination in Firefly. And then the transactions is the revenue recognition. So same deal, you have to do step 1 and then step 2, and you'll be good to go for the end of day. I'll talk a little bit about reports in a second as well, but that's where you'll find the end of day. The posting batches is your posted batch list that was in Astra. So if you wanted to see the individual end of days to see what hit each GL code, you can go to the side that you want. Let's say you want to see what reservations went into our monthly income. When you click on that, the details all here. So it's kind of similar to what Astra had too in your history. It's just in the posting batches instead. Transfer batches is for anyone who's doing the QuickBook export and import. So we can talk about that if that's something you're doing, but that's where you'll find it. Settings, I think the thing that was the most difficult for me to get used to was that in Firefly, units are sites, and therefore unit classes are site types. So those are the two that took me a long time to adjust to. For the add-ons, this is very much like the linked charges in Astra. So anything that you would kind of charge for separately, your cancellation fees, it could be like an extra pet fee, a cleaning deposit, that's all going to be considered add-ons in Firefly. Coupons are any discounts. So it doesn't matter whether it's like a coupon code or like a Good Sam membership, they're all under coupons here. Policies is the same thing as people would have to agree to on Book Your Site to make their reservation. Just in Firefly, it applies to everyone, whether they book online or over the phone. So you can go in and add your park rules, and people must digitally sign this before they can make their reservation online. So it can be really handy, and it gives you a bit of a leg to stand on. If they come back and you're like, well, I didn't know I was going to be charged this. You can be like, well, you agreed to it. So you'll have that there, and you can also print a copy with their digital signature on it, which is really handy. POS item categories are pretty much the same. The one thing to take note of, though, is if you're using the point of sale categories and you're setting up your accounting, as long as your general ledger codes are linked into the category, all items in that category will go into these codes. So especially if you have a big store, please do not go through your whole POS items list, linking every single thing. Just do it on the category so that you don't have to painstakingly link every single one. The rate qualifiers in Firefly are the same as the customer classes in Astra. So if you use different customer classes only to drive different rates, if you use them just to classify customers, it won't work the same. It won't really do much for you. But if you use the customer classes to load in different rates for different types of customers, that's when you're going to want to use it as a rate qualifier. So in the rate qualifiers, you basically make the rate qualifier first, which is just the label. And then when you go to your units and go to look at your rates, then that special rate qualifier would be linked to a special rate. Doesn't matter if it's weekly, monthly, seasonal, daily. I'll go into this one here. You can see if you look at the advanced rate options, this is where you link that qualifier. So again, that's like that customer class to drive that specific special rate. Trying to think of anything else. That's pretty much the majority of it there. Let's go ahead and just open up a reservation really quick. Oh, there it goes. So here, again, we have our add-ons, which are like our linked charges. Your charges tab is kind of like the transactions section of the folio in Astra. So you can see the units would be your folio in the middle section, and the charges would be the transactions in the bottom section. And of course, the charges are every charge that make up the reservation. Now, in this case, this was a group that I made under one person's name. So you can see all of the sites here. So each site under their reservation. And if someone was going to pay for a group altogether, this is how you'd want to do it. And then the charges here, you can see here's the bill basically for each individual site. So that's what the charges will do. The guest tab here, again, you can email the guest right from here, which I know you found on the little icons at the bottom of Astra. And the edit guest would be the same as doing it at the top left with the little guy in the pencil. You do have the options to do notes and violations in Astra. And the notes are here under Edit Guest, and a lot of the notes that you had in Astra would have transferred over into this notes section. They won't be on the notes of the reservation, they'll be on the notes of the guest. So if you can't find them, look under the guest tab. You also have the guest rating, which is in lieu of the violations. Those came over as well. So if you did mark people as violators, it will change their star rating. If you marked them dangerous in Astra, they'll be banned in Firefly. If you ban somebody in Firefly, they are unable to book online. So that's a good thing. Also, if a clerk is making a reservation and somebody's banned, it'll be like, oh, they're banned. Are you sure you want to keep doing this? And the clerk can decide if they're going to keep going or if they're going to be like, oh, sorry, you can't come, or talk to a manager or something like that. The notes section here under the reservation itself, that would be like the John Hancock section in Astra. So this little note section is internal notes only. The customer will not see what you write in here, so you don't have to worry about that. The notifications tab is like that little M icon next to the John Hancock section, and this tells you all emails you've sent the guest. Now in Astra, it just tells you if Astra actually tried to deliver the message or not. In Firefly, the green check mark means it was successfully delivered, so it didn't bounce back. You'll also be able to see if they opened the email and if they clicked on anything in the email as well. So it gives you a little bit more information than we used to get, which is awesome. The history tab here is like the edit history in Astra. So any changes that have happened to the reservation will appear down here. And then of course you can see the source where it came from too, and the user. If the user has an IP address over here, that just means it came through on the internet or online. So that's why it has an IP address, not a username. So talking about reports, so I know the most popular report in Astra was the cash receipts by clerks. That's going to be your payments report in Firefly. So it doesn't subtotal it out by clerk. Let's just do this. It will show you which clerk took which payment though, so you can see that over here. If you did want your clerks to total out individually, they could just type in like their name here, and then it would just show their list of payments that they took. So that would be one way around that, at least for now. Oh, I did not want that to happen. There we go. Okay. When you're running the payments report, I generally suggest where it says payment status, changing this to paid. I've had times where people aren't changing it, and if there's a failed payment, it does show up in the list, which inflates your numbers. So just make sure the payment status is changed to paid when you do this report. It'll be a lot easier. You can see your totals here at the top. And you can sort any of these as well. So I know the cash receipts by clerks was like a physical report that you couldn't sort anything on unless you exported it. This one you can sort if you want to first. And then you have your icons here to print, PDF, CSV, or Excel. If you want to hide columns on any of the reports, it's the little eye icon here. And you can take off certain columns if you don't want them there. So I know a lot of people, especially in Astra, like to customize their column setup. That would be the closest way to do that in here. The other report that's very common, or the other two that were very common in Astra, were the revenue by category and the revenue by code. So Firefly doesn't really have categories aside from the POS, not in the same way Astra did. So instead, we have the revenue summary report. So this is going to be most similar to that revenue by code, revenue by category, either of those two. So again, we can do the date range. Let's do last month. And you can see that's all here. So it totals it by type at the top, and you can see your tax total here as well. And then at the bottom, it gives you more detail, but it still groups it together by either unit, class, or site type, or POS by item. So if I sold, 10 different boxes of Earl Grey tea, it would just have the total, not each individual sale on it. There. The GL summary, or the journal, general ledger summary in Astra would be your journal entry summary here in Firefly. It's the same deal though. Make sure that the end of day procedure has been done. Otherwise, the reports here will not be accurate, right, on the journal entry summary. The only real difference, and I don't know when I last updated this demo, but the biggest difference between the journal entry summary in Firefly and the GL summary in Astra is that Firefly gives you the debit, credit, and post amount all in one report. In Astra, you had to choose which one you wanted, but this will give you all of it. So the information's all right there. Rent roll was another common one in Astra, and your rent roll is going to be your reservations report down here in Firefly. And this reservations report you can actually use for a whole bunch of different reasons. So if you go into it, you can put your date range, and you can see you can search by when things were created, or any part of stay range. Any part of stay range would be akin to the rent roll. Created would be like your sales report, but just remember it's for reservations and add-ons only, it's not for POS. You could use this as an arrival and departure report as well if you liked it. So that would be another option. I always tell people though that this reservations report is very similar to the customers tab in Astra. So like if I put December and I do any part of stay range, I would probably do reservation status as complete because I don't care about canceled ones right now. But if you run it this way, then here are all the reservations in the park for December. Again, you can sort it by clicking on the column headings here. You can click on people's names to go to their account, so you can see their names right here. And of course, you can print PDF, CSV, or Excel that one as well. So that's another really handy one. If you liked the inventory on hand report in Astra, that will be down here with your POS inventory. And then your POS items sold will be similar to your sold tab in Astra. We also have the occupancy summary, which would be, I guess it's most similar. Let me have to run it to see it. We have so many of them in Astra that sometimes I have to take a look to remember. Okay, this is similar just to the, I guess it would be the daily one in Astra, where it breaks down how many units you have, how many were occupied, and how many were unoccupied, and then your percentage. So your occupancy summary is there as well. Your accounts receivables will be your overdue charges and your unpaid charges, just depending on what kind of data you're looking for. So the overdue charges is anybody who is due as of the time you're running it, like the past due as of the time you're running it. Unpaid charges is anybody who hasn't paid. So it's past, present, future that hasn't been paid. In Astra, it was one report and you customize the setting. It's just two separate ones depending on what you're looking for here. Reservation credits is the same as your open funds report. So if you're looking for your open funds, that's here. Now, Firefly is a little different with the open funds or the reservation credits. So you'll notice here that there's a guest credit and a reservation credit. That's because the credit can be housed in two different places. So if it says guest, and again, you can click on anything in the reports to see them, it's actually under the guest tab. So you can see here that Bob has a reservation credit of $34.42. If we go to Bob's reservation, yeah, you can see that there's no reservation credit available here because it's being housed in his guest tab here. If I want to move it from the guest tab to the reservation that I'm on, that's when you're going to do transfer guest credit to reservation. When you transfer it, it'll be available here in the reservation credit available option. So it's not quite like the fund account where you could just apply things willy-nilly up and down and clerks would, put stuff in there and not realize. The reservation credit is very, very intentional. Once the money is in a reservation credit, the only way to use it is by doing new payment, check marking what you're paying for, and then using it as a payment option itself. So it's actually $34.42. So you just have to make sure that it's actually the payment method here, and you will not see the reservation credit in the payment method unless there is a credit in that green section up here. Now that I've used it, it'll update. There we go. And if I go back to new payment, you'll notice that reservation credit is no longer an option because I don't have any available. And go back to this one. So here we'll go into Gabriel. So in Gabriel's case, you can see the reservation credits already here. Now, if Gabriel wanted to use this on a different reservation, not the one with this lookup code, that's when you'd want to go to guest and transfer reservation credit to the guest. When it's sitting in their guest account, you're now able to move it over to a different reservation under their name. So you can see it's much more difficult for a clerk to make a mistake with the way the reservation credit works, because it's not like the fund account where it just gets applied whether they are looking at it or not. So that's just very intentional, but just be aware that that guest tab is where you're going to find them sometimes. And that's why you can see here where it's being housed as well. All right, so we'll go into the day-to-day stuff. And we'll start with reports, because I think most times when people come in the morning, they need an arrivals and a departures report to see who's coming in or who's leaving. So if we go down here to our reservations, again, we're under reports, reservations, and then we have our arrivals here. This will be your, I think I have enough for today. So this will be your check-in report or your arrivals report. When you're running it, this one always got me too. You can either do today, which is fine, or double click on the day if you just want a single day. If you single click, it won't take it. So click twice and then apply. That took me a while to get used to as well. So when you run your arrivals report, you'll see your arrivals here. Again, you can sort by column heading. If there's too much information, you don't want all this stuff, you can use the eyeball to take it off. And of course, you can print and PDF it. You can also click on it to see if they're there or to check them in. And you'll see too, there's a status here that says not checked in or checked in. So in Astra, on the arrivals tab or on the customer arrivals report, once you've checked them in, they're no longer there. They're gone. They're off the report. You can't see them again as an arrival. So in Firefly, the status will tell you whether they're checked in or not. So they will not fall off the report. Oh, there you go. The same thing is true of the departures report. So if we do that one, it's going to look pretty much the same as the arrivals. These are never too different. I'm going to do the whole month because I don't know who I have checking out today, if I have anybody. So this would be our departures report. Same deal, you can print it, you can get your eyeball here. And if you go over it, you can see if they're checked in or checked out or never checked in at all. The other way to get that information is here on the dashboard. So if we look at the dashboard, you'll see your upcoming arrivals and departures. Again, you can click on people's names to go to their account. This one's actually really interesting. So you can see Julie here, she has a green check mark because she's already been checked in. If I go to her account, you'll notice that she's actually moving sites. I can check out this top one without the bottom one being checked out, which I know in Astra didn't happen, because if they had an extension and you checked out the reservation, the whole thing was checked out, even if they had moved sites. So in Firefly, you can check out the individual sites they're moving from and to. So that will hopefully make that a lot easier and have less mischecked out people. And you can see here now I have that they were checked in and checked out. So they actually did move off of the site there. You probably want to look at the overdue charges too to see if anybody's past due. So you could have your clerks go through the list and see what's going on there. Any payments will be here. It doesn't matter if they paid online, if they paid over the phone, they'll all show up here. And you can see any scheduled payments as well. So if they've been set up to run, then you'll see it'll appear here too. And then these are your recurring charges within a couple of days. So if I had anybody who was due for a recurring charge today, like Julie, it would have automatically been posted. In Astra, you had to post your recurring charges every time you logged in. Hopefully, you had it set up where you got the task manager that you had to highlight and hit post to post all your recurring rent. Firefly will automatically do it, so you don't have to have anybody post it. Unless you have auto pay set up on the customer, it will not automatically process their credit card. It'll just create the charge. So let's go into Julie's here for a second. And if we go to charges, we can see that here's December 1st. It's been charged to her account, but it hasn't been paid for yet. Your recurring charges will all be here. So if you do have to check on or edit anything in those, that's where you can go here and click edit to change any of the details on the recurring charges. Now, when it comes to, let's go back to the dashboard, to the day-to-day operations, I don't think most staff probably aren't going to be using the recurring, right? Just a handful of people. But in terms of making a reservation, you can have your staff use the grid or the new reservation option. I would say if they're doing a short-term reservation, just a few days, grid is great. If they're doing a long or an ongoing reservation, new reservation is better. The reason for that is the reservation grid, it's great to use. You can see a lot of stuff on it, But if you're trying to highlight like a month, like that's a lot of highlighting to do. And people are going to click out of it, and it's hard to highlight a long time on the grid. So that's why I'm saying if they're doing a long-term reservation, doing new reservations much easier. If they do want to book on the grid though, they can highlight, right-click, and do new reservation, and that will pull up the information here. And then of course they can do new reservation on the left here as well. Let's just throw something in here really quick, and then we'll do some payments and we'll do some cancellations and refunds. Great, so I'll put this person in, select a guest, a dog in here. Okay. Now you can see with the add-ons, we can see cancellation fee here already. This always just shows a list of all available add-ons. So if there was anything that you needed clerks to be charging at the time of booking, you could have it in the list here as well. I'm not going to send myself an email, but if this is checkmarked, the customer will get a confirmation email. So after they've made the reservation and we go into charges, if you do not have a terminal, or you're on a workstation without a terminal, or you're taking a reservation over the phone, you need to do add payment method first to get the card on file. If they're a customer that's been there before, you'll see this option, and you can actually import a card number from a previous booking. So maybe they want to use this one, I can hit import. So again, if they already had a card on file once, you don't need to type it in here again. But once you've saved it to the reservation, then you're able to go to new payment. You want to check mark what they're paying for. And if they weren't going to pay for the full thing, just make sure that there's only one charge check marked. Say they were only going to pay $25. You can override the amount here if you wish. But I'm going to do both. Then we can do credit card here, and you'll see use card on file. If you see collect payment offline and you do not see use card on file, that means a credit card has not been added to the reservation first. So collect payment offline, of course, means that it's not going to go through the processor. So just make sure that your clerks are very aware of that, so they don't accidentally think they took a payment when they really didn't. So it always has to be use card on file. Customers now can have up to 3 different credit cards on file. So if they did have multiple cards, you'll be able to select the one you wish to charge right here. And then, of course, you can send an email receipt. I'm not going to myself. So then you can see here's the payment. Now, in my system, I have a credit card processing fee set up, and that's why you see this extra amount here as well. So this is the total, including the processing fee. Now, let's say this customer wishes to cancel. Now, if you're doing a cancellation fee, anyone's probably recommended that you set it up as an add-on. So when you're doing a cancellation, you're going to do add-ons first, and then you're going to add add-on, and you're going to choose the cancellation fee. Now, if you do have different prices, or if it's like a percentage, there is no way for Firefly to calculate the percentage at this point. So if it is a percentage-based fee, you can make this like $1 and edit it as needed. So once we save that, you'll see it appears under the add-ons under the customer's name. And you can see here, you can update the quantity and price if you need to. So if this guest gave me, a heart-filled story and I just feel so bad for them and I just want to charge them $10, I could do something like that. When you go to the charges tab, you'll also see the cancellation fee is here. Now, in most cases, I'm assuming that you don't want to refund this reservation fee. So basically just leave it alone. Pretend it doesn't exist for the time being because we don't want to refund this. So we're going to work with this charge here, which is the reservation fee or the site fee. So if we go to options, we're first going to transfer some of the money that they paid towards their site fees to that cancellation fee, because I want to keep that $10. So if we do transfer to another charge, we can say, okay, I'm going to transfer it to this cancellation fee. I'm only going to transfer part of it because I only want $10. And then I'm going to hit transfer. So what this has done is this has moved the $10 from the full hookup onto the cancellation fee. So you can see that's reflected here as well. Now this, of course, says partial paid because I just took $10 off of it. But now I want to refund the difference. So to refund it, I'm going to go back to that same options tab on the site fee, and I'm going to do refund. Now it's not going to try to, like you can see it's doing $57.80 instead of $67.80 because I already moved that $10. So it's not even available to refund if I tried. If you use a processing fee like I do, you can choose to refund the entire payment, including the processing fee or excluding the processing fee, whatever you prefer. If you want to refund a different amount for whatever reason, you can also do refund a partial amount and type in the amount you wish to refund. I'm going to refund the entire payment, excluding the processing fee though, because I don't want to give that back. And then you can do process refund to credit card, debit card used to pay. And we'll hit save and that will process the refund. So you can see below it here, it does say it was refunded. So this specific payment was. If you were going to say refund another payment as well, you do have to do them separately. You can't do one refund for multiple charges. Now, of course, we have a balance due. So we don't like that because if this person's not really due, we know we're never going to get that money. I have had people come in here and try to do it as set as uncollectible. I would generally recommend against that only because set as uncollectible means that you were actually intending on getting that money. In this case, they canceled, so the intention of getting that money is no longer there. So instead, it's better to edit it, and you can either change the price to 0 or the quantity to 0, whichever you prefer. Quantity is probably a bit easier. So that will zero everything out. You can see they don't owe a balance when this updates, which it will in a second. And the total payments up here as well at the top. Now, once you've dealt with the money side of things, then we're going to go up here into options and we're going to cancel the reservation. So it gives you this warning. And basically what this warning is telling you is that doing cancel reservation does absolutely nothing to the money or the payments. So by canceling it, it's not going to back out any of the charges. It's not going to refund any of the money. All that cancel reservation does is remove it as unavailable from the map or the grid. So it removes the reservation from the map or from the grid, showing the site as available again. So I'm just going to go ahead and cancel it, and then it's over and done with. You can do it the opposite way. So if you want to cancel it first and then work with the money, by all means, you can. I just think it's probably better to get your clerks in the habit of dealing with the money first and then canceling the reservation. That just makes more sense, I think. Now we're going to go back to the dashboard. And let's say somebody calls and they want to make a change to their reservation. So if we could go here. I always go here and search reservation, but the magnifying glass is also up here. So like I said, doesn't matter which one you do. I just, for some reason, feel comfortable coming over here. And I'm just going to open up one of Rhea's reservations here. Now, let's say the guest coming in on site 19, they want to change their dates. They've been here from the 5th to the 9th, or that's what they booked, but they can't make it today. They want to come in tomorrow instead. All of your changes, whether it's site changes or date changes, are going to be here under options. So change stay dates will allow you to change the dates of the reservation, but just make sure that if you're changing the dates, and like, for example, I'm shortening the stay, so I probably want to charge them less money, right? Make sure you hit recalculate charges. Firefly will not update the price of the charge unless this is checkmarked. And in some cases, if they're staying like a month and they want to leave a few days early, you probably don't want to recalculate the charge because you don't want to give them those 2 days back because they already got a deal by paying for a month, right? But in this kind of case where it's a nightly stay, I probably do want to recalculate it. So that's the different options between using that, and then you just hit save. And that will update the charge on the other page. And now it's putting it in chronological order, so they move to the bottom here. If they want to change their site, maybe they got there or they called and they really have to be close to the washroom, right? Or they need to be close to the pool, or grandma's coming on this site and I want to be next to grandma. If you go to options, that's when you're going to do move to new unit. Move to new unit is change site. The nice thing about Firefly is you can choose to move it for the whole reservation, which is from the first day of the reservation, or partway through the reservation as well, which is amazing for your monthly guests. Especially if you have those monthlies who like to change sites like every 2 weeks, and they kind of drive you nuts. That was a pain in Astra. You can do it starting on a specific day in Firefly. If you recalculate it, it will calculate at the new price if the one site they're moving to is higher or lower in price. If you don't recalculate it, then it'll just remain at the price that you had it at. So I'm going to do from the first day, though, in this case. if you can't find the site or the unit that you want, you can override restrictions. It's going to try to do a like site for them. So you can override restrictions, maybe if they're going to a cabin or something like that instead. So we'll choose a different site here and hit save. And you can see it'll change it from 19 to 40. Yeah, that's pretty much it there. Convert to ongoing reservation. This is what the recurring charge will do. This is to set them up. This is for your long-term monthlies. So if you have no idea when they're leaving, you can convert them to an ongoing reservation, and that will block off the site basically for eternity or until you tell it to stop, and it will set up the recurring charge for you. So this is a great way to do your monthly stays. You have the lock unit as well, which will put the site lock on it. So if we do that, it'll put that little green lock where you're not able to change their site without knowing that it's locked. It'll charge the fee too, if you have the fee set up. And then here too, you can update the occupants, the RV info, or the vehicles. So for anybody who is taking license plate numbers, especially when people check in, it's update vehicles to put those license plate numbers in here. So just so you're aware of where to get that information too. All right, checking in and out. I would probably do my check-ins and outs from the grid. If you're taking payments, you can do it in that options tab, but the grid is really easy for it because you can just right click. You can check in and out from here too. We also have updated the grid to be able to drag and drop. So you can like move people by drag and dropping this way. You can move sites and you can move dates, and it will tell you what you're doing and you can decide if you want to do that or not. So similar to Astra, but it just brings up this little screen versus the big edit screen. So that's nice too. While we're on the grid, some things for easy management. Anybody with a $sign means they have a card on file. Anybody with a bold and red name means they owe you money. So that's why they're appearing on here. And you have your group holds here, which are held for specific groups as well. Yeah, let's check in, check out. End of day, we kind of went over here, which is your end of day, which you probably actually want to do the next morning for the day before. We've made our reservations. That's pretty much how to get through a day. I think that's all the functions that you would really need to do all that. So I guess we have some time for questions if anybody has any.
We do. We have a couple in the chat. Thank you, Adrienne. That was awesome. Yeah. All right. First question. And Brian, if I totally did not read your question well, feel free to correct me. Okay, the question: with refunds, we are having to leave the deposit unpaid until we run the end of day report. So of course it is showing up as unpaid. However, the deposit was either transferred to another charge or the balance was refunded back to the cart on file. Yes. After we run the end of day, then we go back to that refunded charge, then edit the charge quantity. I've been trying to explain why we need to do this, which I understand it's referring to the accounting side of the software, but could I get it explained again so I better understand it?
Yeah, so basically what happens is when you do your end of day, it's referencing the refund amount, right? So it knows how much to back out of the revenue. So if you've set the charge to 0, it doesn't have that reference line anymore because it doesn't store historical records. So that's why we have to change it after you post the end of day so it knows how much money to back out of the revenue.
Perfect. Okay, Brian, I'll keep my eye out for
let me know if that made sense.
Perfect. Okay, next question. Is someone able to make a payment without a charge?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can't, I know in Astra you could pay into a fund account. You can't do that in Firefly. So for anybody who does want to do that or to do an overpayment, we've suggested making an add-on that's just called overpayment, and you can put in the amount they wish to overpay by. But at this point, you cannot pay into a reservation credit.
Okay, perfect. Another question: when a customer checks out, do you have to change their stay dates and delete the recurring charge that was created for the ongoing reservation? So when an ongoing reservation customer checks out, do you have to change their stay dates and delete the recurring charge?
If you change the stay date and put an end date on it, that will also end the recurring charge. So I would say yes, change the date, because if you don't, then it kind of remains and it keeps the recurring charge going. So just change the end date and it's 2 birds with 1 stone.
Perfect. Okay, Brian, let me know again if there's anything else that I missed with those. Another question we have, if we aren't supposed to use offline payments, can that be grayed out so there's no accidental mistakes?
Unfortunately, no. But I would love to put an enhancement request in for that.
We can do that. I'll send it out today. All right. Any other questions? I know that was a lot. If you guys do want to have some one-on-one training, I can help you get that scheduled with your migration manager. I'll get you their specific calendar links. And then if there's like specific questions that come up in your mind later today, you can send that to me. You can also send that to our support team. They have tons of articles that they can send your way, explanations, videos, all that kind of thing, as well. So we'll just wait. I don't have anything else. Today was really meant to be like, I know it was a lot, but it was like a high level overview and how to actually use Firefly. So I'm just kind of like drawing out the time here now to see if anyone else starts typing. But thank you everyone for attending and for all of your questions. Yeah, we really want to help however we can. I myself have switched platforms in many of my jobs, and I know how difficult it is. So we just like keep brainstorming on our team, like, okay, how else can we help? Okay, what else can we do? So that's how these calls keep coming to be. Okay, no one else is typing, so I think we'll end it there. Again, if you guys have questions, my email success@fireflyreservations.com is where you got the invite for this. So feel free to respond to that, or reach out to support@fireflyreservations.com, or that little support request button in your portal. Thanks everyone. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and yeah, we're here however we can help. And thanks, Adrian.
Thanks.
Yep.